Hello, everybody. It's Mary Lynn of Create an Impact podcast show. Thank you for joining us today. And if you're watching it on the replay, awesome. So thank you for coming, Leedah. And I've known Leedah for a little while, maybe a year or so. And I really wanted him on my show. So I finally snagged him to say yes. So Leedah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started doing what you're doing.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me, Mary Lynn. We've known each other probably a couple of years now. I think
Yeah.
back to 2021 or two.
Hmm.
But I was born in Oklahoma, and my parents brought me out here, um, raised in East San Jose in a rougher part of town,
Hmm.
and grew up with some pretty poor influences and bad life decisions. And
Hmm.
then um, moved me out here to Fremont, and that put me on a different course because of the different demographic,
Hmm.
and been in Fremont ever since.
Hmm. Yeah, awesome. So tell me about the project. I know you have this little community and it's really expanding, really growing, and it's very family oriented. So tell us a little bit about your community and what your vision is for it and what I know you're doing so much for the community right now, but maybe could you expand a little bit on that?
Sure. So we started something in 2019. It was originally meant to be a church in 2019. And so we started off holding services and renting out community centers, and
Hmm.
then pandemic hit. So that made it really, really tough on us to
Hmm.
continue to meet. Obviously, like everybody else, we went on
Yeah.
Zoom or went online and went outdoors. And what I had found was that a lot of the people we were trying to engage, they just weren't interested in what we had to offer.
Hmm.
And I had fundraised some money, and I was like, well, we don't need this money for other staff, or we don't need this money to rent out a community center anymore.
Hmm.
So I was like, there's a need right now, and pandemics, was hot then. So why don't we just give it away? So every year, we start off with something very little, like $12,000 for the first year, but year over year, we just kept giving it money away,
Hmm.
and people saw the work we were doing
Hmm.
and wanted to continue to support our work. And so um, now, 5.5 years later, we've given away over $120,000 to buy cars, to pay down rent, to bring food and supplies for refugees, for
Hmm.
unhoused, and for single moms,
Hmm.
all in Fremont, mostly in Fremont. And we invite everyone to be a part of our community, and it's a
Hmm.
faith-based community for us, and it's in our home.
Hmm.
And what originally started as the original intention to be a traditional church holding services in a building has now become more of like a house, I would say, faith-based, family.
Hmm.
But it's made up of Afghan refugees and
Yeah.
Iranian tech people and Silicon Valley, workers and
Hmm.
all the above. And
Right.
so it's become this really kind of an odd duck, but really beautiful and really meaningful. And
Yeah.
and we're seeing um, it. It's very impactful
Hmm.
and not what we set out to do, but it's become something that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Right. Yeah. Because I remember you saying that you didn't really want to be the pastor in front of the pulpit and or pulpit, I should say, and preach at be a Sunday church.
Hmm.
So, and
Hmm.
then the other
Hmm.
thing about what you're also saying is that I think what you have is really a gold mine because so many churches out there are looking for families. You have it, but they
Hmm.
don't.
Hmm.
And they're going like, how do we create it? And I'm like, well,
Right.
you could do this and this and this, but oh well, we don't want to do that. So,
Right. Right.
so
Right.
you have that great success there too, right? Yeah.
Right. I think a lot of churches, and I come from the traditional church world where I was
Mm-hmm.
a staff pastor for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
after getting my master's degree. And there's just a lot of lineage and tradition and heritage in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of churches across America. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful. But it creates some sacred cows, and
Right.
it creates some we've always done it this way kind of mentality. And the shadow side of something very beautiful is unwillingness to change, and
Mm-hmm.
the shadow side of it is unwillingness to do what it takes to reach the ethnic neighbors that have moved to the Bay Area. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's an unfortunate side
Right.
of things.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always, the right side and the left side. It's too bad that you're either my side, your side. It's not,
Hmm.
yeah, this integration, if you will, into
Yeah.
there's always like,
Yeah.
well, you're on my side. What does that mean? What
Hmm.
do you mean I'm
Hmm.
not on your side? What does that mean? Kind of thing. So there's a lot of that going on too, right?
Yeah, I actually like the word integration because we're a church plant in 2019, and there's a lot of people that start things and they're like, I'm just going to create a new thing
Mm-hmm.
and abandon all the old.
Yeah.
But I don't actually believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I actually want to stand on the shoulders of people that have come before me.
Right.
I want to learn from people that
Mm-hmm.
have come before me. They have
Right.
tremendous wisdom
Right.
and they have tremendous life experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they have tremendous perspective that I can grow from if I were willing to listen.
Right.
And so, what I want to do is integrate. Um, for me, it's what have people from the past done in bringing faith and bringing tangible help to society, in creating a new type of community. What have people done in the past? How can I learn from that and invite them to be a part of something new?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the either or black and white kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. 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 As you were just saying that, I was just thinking about, so share with us a little bit. I know you shared at the beginning how you got started and why you got started because of COVID and way back when. And so what do you think your vision is now for the future, the days to come ahead? And share some ideas you've shared with me already, but share some ideas about how you want to expand what you're doing.
Yeah, I'd love to see um, this type of house community.
Mhm.
You can call it a house church and call it a house community.
Right.
This type of uh, group and this type of gathering replicated in other homes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one way to grow is we can scale by renting out a community center
Right.
or renting out any kind of building
Right.
as the need presents itself. But for me, I think there's a special way to grow when, you locate, if there's another family that were living in like the many, many homes in
Right.
Fremont or the Bay Area, um, particularly in the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were willing to open their home to
Mm-hmm.
people of other class, people of other ethnicity, people of other religion,
Right.
I think it would just be tremendous. It would do um, something in that family's hearts
Mm-hmm.
that they cannot experience sitting in a church pew.
Right.
I think when they open their homes, and when we've opened our home, the now past 5.5 years, it's been life changing for us.
Mm-hmm.
So one way we can hopefully scale, God willing, is if there's another family that wants to carry the same kind of DNA that we have
Right.
into their living room
Mm-hmm.
and live with radical generosity,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, you know, resourcing families and communities in need,
Mm-hmm.
and really carrying this type of all people's DNA
Mm-hmm.
into their gathering. So there's two paths. There's rented community centers, one way to scale, but to
Yeah.
me, I think I'm a little bit more excited about the potential of another family saying, or individual saying, I've lived in this middle class section in my life, and I want to open my eyes in my life to all the other parts and facets of life, and
Right.
utilize this great resource of a house, and
Mm-hmm.
to show hospitality, to show radical generosity and
Mm-hmm.
love without any strings attached.
Right, right. Yeah, you guys are definitely radical, outrageous generosity.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been pretty wild. It's been pretty wild.
yeah. I think when you're like that, though, that more generosity comes to you, right?
Mm,
And you start meeting the people that you truly want to meet,
mm,
not so much a class of person, whether you're lower class or middle class or higher class, but just the more people that want to be more giving and more
yes.
helpful and caring, right? You start
Yes.
attracting
Yes.
that, right? Because
Yes.
you are already demonstrating it's possible. You've already demonstrated that we've been able to do this over the last 5 years. And people are pretty
Mm-hmm.
amazed, when I tell them this is how much money they've raised this year
Mm-hmm.
already, and they've given.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Mm-hmm.
people that just say, wow, I want to meet that guy. Like, how are they
Mm-hmm.
doing that? And that type of thing. But you also
Mm-hmm.
go out and speak at other churches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason the way we're able to give the amount that we're able to give is because I'm connected to that middle and
Right.
upper class Christian world.
Hmm.
And I think that's one thing that kind of going back to the word class, it's a tricky one because I don't want to say it with the loaded, assumptions
Yeah.
of people thinking that one class is better or
Mm.
superior.
Right.
But I want to say that word in the sense that right now, I think Americans, and I think Christian Americans,
Hmm.
they are kind of in these bubbles of
Right.
class, and
Hmm.
they live and they operate, and their lifestyle and their day to day is always operating in that bubble of class. So,
Right.
especially in Silicon Valley, I remember going to a house party or a party at someone's house, and they were saying how we're talking about, oh yeah, someone down the street bought that house, and then the conversation came into question, like, oh, what did that person do for a living? And then I said, oh, I think they're in maybe like nonprofit work or something like that. And then the guy responded with a very like, what? Like, I haven't met anyone here that's not an engineer. Like, how can like he's like, I don't have any non-engineer friends. I was like, for me, that kind of blew my mind. I was like, bro, there's like so many people
Right.
in the world, and living in a very affluent and very high cost of living and very difficult place to live. I think people can very easily just shrink their circles, especially during pandemic when you
Right.
were encouraged and by law and by policy not to
Right.
talk to other people, to shrink their circles. And it really comes down to ethnicity,
Hmm.
race, and then class.
Right.
And I think if we can, carry this DNA of Restore 20, like our organization is called Restore 22.
Hmm.
It's to break those class barriers,
Hmm.
and to see the image of God is not just in, um, the white male,
Yeah.
heterosexual white male, but it's also in the black
Hmm.
female, in the Black Lives Matter movement. That was like, we are made in the image of God. It's also
Yeah.
in the Afghan refugee, and in the unhoused, in the single
Hmm.
mom going through domestic violence. It's the image of God
Yeah.
is born and carried everywhere we go. And when we expand, and when we open up our perspectives to other classes and relationship to other classes of people, I think we only grow. Like,
Hmm.
personally, I've only grown because I'm friends with you now, Mary Lynn. Like,
Right.
we're in each other's lives, and I'm like, I get to see how you laugh, I get to
Right.
see how you live, I get to see how, life has given you reasons to cry, but you have these big belly laughs that encourage me and I inspire me, and the grit that you have. It's
Hmm.
like, man, for me, it's like this is something that, like, someone complaining about their Tesla running out of batteries is just not going to do it. This is not going to do it for me. So, um, yeah,
Yeah,
going back to the original, your question about or comment about speaking at churches, I speak at these churches, and what I've learned or noticed is they might be multi-ethnic, but
right,
they're not multi-class. They're
right.
not socio-economically diverse.
Hmm.
They have people that can afford homes,
Right,
and that's like one thin sliver of society,
right, right.
and it's a very exclusive sliver of society.
Hmm.
But if what I'm trying to do when I speak in these churches is to encourage them and say, hey, like I love that you're gathering here to sing songs and listen to sermons. That's great. Keep doing that. But if you can open your lens and your perspective to other people um, outside of your world, outside of
Right.
people who can that are just neighbors, that are living on streets, that are living in parking lots, that are living in apartment complexes, that are living in subsidized housing. Um, if we can just open our eyes and open our hearts to relationship with them, we grow.
Hmm.
We're better for it. Our children grow. Our children are better for it.
Hmm.
Society as a whole rises. So that's the purpose why I guest speak. It's to encourage the larger church that's mainly middle class,
Yeah.
to open their perspective and their boundaries. And then obviously we get fundraising from that too. So I
Right.
raise funds in those speaking engagements, and you know we get people that believe in what we're doing, and they'll write us a check and they'll support
Hmm.
what we do too.
Right, right, yeah. So if in that cause though that I want to put below the video where they can reach out to you if they want for speaking, and also if they just want to give to your Restore 22. Want to offer them that opportunity to give as well. But
Cool.
yeah, no, I mean, like, to me it's all about sharing your impact, what you're making, and your
Mm-hmm,
impact
hmm
is not only helping churches improve, but also you're able to take your impact dollars and spread them out to all the other
hmm
people that are of um, of need or
hmm
need
hmm
assistance or looking for support somewhere, right?
hmm
You know,
hmm
and
hmm
you're just generously giving, and just
hmm
trust, like, share, if you don't mind sharing that one story where you guys kind of went over a budget, and then was lo
hmm
and behold, somebody gave you exact amount that you need. So if you mind sharing that story, that would be great too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Because there are all
that's
these
happened.
stories about your belief, belief about
Right.
being generous, right?
Right. Yeah, there was a couple times that happened. The first time, one of the big times that happened, we was actually for our organization. So the first time it happened, we wanted to bring. People were saying to bring my wife Jess on staff, part time, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't want the extra financial burden for the organization. We are a
Hmm.
501(c)(3), and
Hmm.
we have a budget, and I just
Yeah.
didn't want to go over budget. And so, very, very stubbornly, I said, fine, yes, after like 3 or 4 sleepless nights. It's like, okay, we'll bring her on part-time. I don't agree with it, but that's fine. And she's been working for free for a number of years, and she works alongside me in this work.
Right.
And I just like, fine, we'll give her like, and so we agreed to part-time salary. It was $30,000 for that year. I think it was 2021, and she was happy. She would have been happily continued to do the work
Right.
for free because she was a volunteer, and it was the leadership of our organization that wanted to compensate her. And so, literally after I agreed, I think it was like 2 or 3 days after the fact, someone comes to our door with a $35,000 check, and they just hand it to us. And they had no idea what was happening. They had no idea what was the internal conversations. They had no idea what was happening. We wanted to bring Jess on staff because she was a part of our work, part of serving the community,
Hmm.
and wanting to compensate her for her time. And they're just like, here, this is, God put this on my heart to support your work here in Fremont in the Bay Area. Now we were just like, I was like floored. I was like, yeah, you don't even know what you're doing right now. Like this conversation that we've been having, the
Yeah,
decision we just made a couple hours, days ago, and nothing's happened like that before, nothing's happened like that after.
right.
And so it's just a wild timing thing. And then the second time that stands out to me, there was a family in need, a refugee family from Afghanistan. He comes to our house church gathering and he says, Leedah, I want to buy a car. And he's looking at this Prius, and at the time he was riding a bike, just going
Mm,
to, going to where he needed to go. And he said, I want to get this car. And he shows me the picture, and it's about $8,000. It's a
right.
Prius, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. Thanks for letting me know. And the reason he asked me was because he's like, hey, if you know anyone that's selling a car, like,
Yeah,
let me know. Or if you know anyone that can maybe even take a look at the engine of this car, and let me
yeah,
know. And so he comes in on that Sunday, and lo and behold, that very same Sunday, different donors. One of them knew, the other ones did not. They give a total of $8,000 to our organization, and it basically, I got to call this guy that same afternoon, and I said, "Hey, your car that you wanted, it's going to be paid off. We got you. We got the whole thing." And
wow.
he was floored. He was like, what? He didn't have that expectation at all. That
Yeah,
was not the reason why he brought it up to me. He and I was not expecting that at all. The
yeah,
the different donors that gave that one day, before or after that day, that wasn't like a regular thing for them.
yeah, yeah,
And so it was, and then the whole thing about it matching the exact amount of
yeah.
the car, the level of price that he wanted. So that was another time that kind of stands out to me, about a year and some change ago that happened.
Wow, wow. I know when you share those stories, it just kind of floors me too. But I'm going, wow. I mean, tears of joy.
Mm,
Amen. That
mm,
somebody has felt
mm,
really generous and wanted to give more, give back,
mhm,
or move it forward, or pay it forward. Yeah, yeah.
mhm,
So
mhm,
inspiring. So inspiring. So,
mhm.
is there anything else you'd like to say before we close off the call today?
Yeah, just saying thank you to you for this space to have this conversation. I
Mhm.
think um, having these conversations are just so important,
Hmm.
because we live in a culture that is very, consumer oriented,
Hmm.
and very entertainment and leisure oriented. And, really all it is people want to be happy.
Right.
And so they think buying stuff and acquiring stuff and accumulating stuff is going to make them happy. But
Hmm.
honestly, what I've learned here is it's the giving stuff away that really makes you happy. It's
Right.
the conversations like these where, we can talk about, generosity, and we can talk about people that live in the margins, and that
Hmm.
people that communities in need, and talk about, movements of generosity towards them. That's the stuff that, like, puts a smile on your face when you
Yeah.
sleep at night.
Yeah.
Not that you, like, I feel good about myself as a person, or some kind of virtue signaling to other people of, what a great guy I am, because I really don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's more about, like, what gives me a meaningful life,
Hmm.
and what gives me a life that's worth living.
Hmm.
And to me, when I look at, like, the end of my life, I want it to be, man, how much was I able to love others, give
Right.
myself away, and teach my kids
Yeah.
that same value.
Right.
And that's what makes me happy. So
Hmm.
I'm grateful for this conversation,
Yeah. We'll have to do it
because
more.
we need that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
this is something that I feel very passionate about. So thank
Hmm.
you.
You're so, so welcome. And I love you too. And I hope that, and I'll see you soon. I guess
I'll see you soon.
maybe sometime in August.
Yes, yes,
Because I know you're busy out talking, speaking, singing
yes, yes,
your heart out.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, Guy. Thanks very much. And I will put your links down below. So if you could send them to me, I'd appreciate that.
I will.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Leedah. Okay.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks. Take care. Yeah, I'll just stop. Hey, you didn't have to go anywhere.